The Hive space that's there now, what I had envisioned was, I was going to do something that was a little bit different from the other plans, but basically take over the space that was Java U and create something that had fair trade coffee, fair trade food, wholesome food, not processed, but made there. The ultimate project was like the food, the coffee would still make money, and we would still make money to pay the staff and everything. But what we wanted to do, what we aspired to do, was to give the workers a big say in how we managed the shop, the coffee shop, and the cafe, and how they would, really connected to making the food, serving the coffee, connected to the customers that were coming in every day, and so that we would be able to maybe teach them about where the coffee comes from, who makes this coffee, And one of the things I want to do with the project was every December have some of the staff actually go to Mexico, where we were buying the fair trade coffee, go on the farms, participate on the farms to have that real connection. And then when they come back here, they can tell the students, this is how we farmed it, this is how they farm it, this is how they bring it here, and why is fair trade good? What do those people live like? What's the difference between getting fair trade wages and not? So make a real connection and try to do not so much in your face education as an education where there would be all kinds of posters around and people could have workshops. And one of the big things that I wanted to do was have live music, so that people can participate and have some shows and art shows. There's so much space there, so many walls that you could have all kinds of art galleries, and people could show something, fair trade art or something like that. They could sell those things. So just like a community space where Java U was it was straight up, let's make money. Let's make as much money as possible. And it was a long time ago, and you walk in there and you buy a sandwich and a drink and it's $10. And it was a long time ago, and usually it was like $7 or $6, and the staff was getting paid just minimum wage, whatever they could get away with. And it was not a community space at all. And I feel one of the greatest disasters at the Concordia Student Union was giving up that space, that prime space that could have been great community space, and selling it out. Basically, the CSU president basically sold out the students and sold out to this corporation. It wasn't a big corporation at the time, but you can see it now. It's in the airport. When I came to the Montreal airport now, I see Java U, and so it's a massive corporation. And I think that was a big disaster and a mistake. And it was a progressive president and a progressive CSU student union that basically for $60,000 a year, gave up a prime space that we could have used to have better issues of food security and everything else. And it was a really unfortunate thing that happened. So I wanted to kind of turn the tide, and it was going to be a great experiment. And I'm really glad to see what has ended up happening. It's a little bit different than maybe my plan, but it's nice to see. Nice to see that it was successful after so many years.
Could you actually tell us why your plan didn't come into existence?
Well, the plan didn't come into existence because
Is it okay if we go into the story?
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, so could you tell us why the plan eventually didn't come into existence?
The plan didn't come into existence because there were a lot of political issues. So the CSU at the time was, I don't know how we could describe them. Let's just say not progressive at all, quite conservative. I mean, they pretended to be, progressive, and because that's the way you could keep power. But basically, they didn't want to have anything to do with anything progressive coming in there. So they did everything they could, all kinds of dirty tricks to keep it from happening, and they were quite successful because, combined with Java U, they had a lot of money to fight for a long, long time, and a lot of legal battles and issues like that. So there were legal things that kept it from happening. There were threats of lawsuits from Java U threatening to sue CSU if they didn't allow them to continue there. A lot of dirty tricks, and I think they were willing participants in that, that action to keep anything progressive out of that space. I think the biggest fear was that our students would get politicized in a space that was apolitical. So you had the administration, the conservative, super conservative administration, and super conservative Concordia Student Union, and a huge corporation getting all together, as a deadly trio to stop any kind of progressive things manifesting itself in that space, because they fear the politicization of students, and students waking up and realizing there was some culture to be developed in spaces like that, and that we could take control of food, take control of coffee, make sure things were fair trade. The student union did cave in and say that in the end that Java U could only stay in there if they had fair trade coffee, and in a sense there was a victory there. I don't think it was a big victory, but at least we did force their hand in that sense.